in the de Volder and the de Beau's correspondence, and in other largely private texts from the period. But as might be expected from the nature of the give and take in correspondence, these discussions are rather fragmentary. A few paragraphs here, a few comments there. There is no real systematic development of the ideas, no attempt at a master exposition until 1714, when Leibniz is in contact with both Prince Eugène of Savoy and Nicolas Romand. It was only then that he wrote his first systematic expositions of the monadological metaphysics. The first was the summary of the system, the draft letter to Romand that he didn't send that I mentioned earlier. And then there was the principles of nature and grace and the monadology itself. A further reason I propose that the monadology appears only marginally in the Essai de Theodicy of 1710 is, I think, because at the moment he was writing that book, it hadn't fully formed in Leibniz's mind yet. At the time that Leibniz was drafting the Essai de Theodicy, the monadology was still an amorphous and incompletely digested collection of doctrines, I suspect. Nothing that could easily have been inserted into the book, even if Leibniz had judged it appropriate. The doctrine was in somewhat better shape in 1714, after Leibniz had had the time to give it more thought and attempted to formulate it in a few concise pages, first in the Janssen letter and then in the two essays, Principles of Nature and Grace and the Monadology itself. Though the Principles of Nature and Grace were sent to Romand and to Eugène, the monadology was not shared with anyone, and neither were published during Leibniz's lifetime. This cannot be explained simply by Leibniz's reluctance to reveal to the public views that are abstract, difficult, and far removed from what is commonly imagined. It's important to remember that he didn't reveal the monadology even to correspondents with whom he had already revealed his difficult thoughts. This suggests to me that even in 1714, after having had the opportunity to set out his thoughts about monads in a systematic way, he was not yet entirely satisfied with the results. While the argument is complex, I would conjecture that Leibniz never felt that he had a completely satisfactory account of the relations between the world of non-extended and spiritual substances, the monads, and the world of physics, the world of extended bodies that have active and passive forces and appear to act on one another. That, I suggest, induced him to keep the text to himself and even to keep it from correspondents to whom he had revealed some of his deepest thoughts about monads. But I also suspect that Leibniz was at peace about that. The monads, after all, were just one domain among many about which he had ideas to contribute. And in various of these domains, he was in greater or lesser stages of completion about his projects. And the open problems in his monadology were just some among the many open problems in the many domains in which he worked, always at the same time. It's ironic then, when the monadology was published in 1720 in German and then in 1721 in Latin, it supplanted the Essai de Theodicy and became the central text in Leibniz's philosophy, and the monadological metaphysics the central issue. Its apparent simplicity and directness pushed it to the center and seduced readers into thinking that they had found the key to Leibniz's complex thought, the doctrine through which all the others are to be read. It's an important corrective to call our attention back to the Theodicy project, which was also important to Leibniz, as Don Rutherford did some years ago, and as scholars in the Notre Dame Theodicy project are now doing. But perhaps we should see both of these projects, the monadology and the Theodicy, as two lights among the many that twinkle and glow in the Leibnizian firmament. Thank you for your attention.